All right. So I am recording. Good afternoon, good evening. This is the official 2025 How to the Charles Coxswain Clinic webinar. Hello, everybody. My name is Mary Whipple. I'm a three-time Olympic coxswain, two-time Olympic champion. And don't forget about the silver medal, the first crack I had at the Olympics. But this is all about How to the Charles. I've been lucky enough to do the Head of the Charles Clinic, or not clinic, but the race. I think my first race was in 2003. So it's been a while. I've got to go down the track a lot of times, and this is my fourth official clinic. I want to thank the head of the Charles for giving me this honor and a huge responsibility to give you all of the tips and maybe calm yourselves down and just give you a lot of good confidence that you got this. It's not as hard as you think it's going to be. And we're going to go through all the what ifs and also best practices. So, this is the official clinic, but I also have to pay homage to my biggest mentor. I know this isn't the best picture of Yaz Farouk and her husband Roger, but they were running the clinic in person in Boston for a long time. So they kind of was like, you know what, we're done with this. Mary, why don't you take it over? And they passed the torch. So Yaz Farouk is one of my biggest mentors. She was an Olympic coxswain, and now she's the head coach at the University of Washington. So let's get to it. What I'm about to show you is a very high speed overview of what it's going to look like from the coxswain's perspective and also for all of the single scullers and bow seats out there. I see you. Welcome. There will be a view for you as well. So here is a very fast view of the head of the Charles. This is the start chute. We will talk about odds being on Boston, evens in Cambridge. That is the official start right at that boathouse. Here's the BU Bridge. And then we cruise around, watching for those lovely green buoys around Magazine Beach. And as we come off of Magazine Beach, with all of the greenery on the right, this is the straight shot from Magazine Beach to the Powerhouse stretch. So this is the first bridge that we're coming up of after the BU Bridge. It's River Street Bridge. You can go through both arches on the middle and on the Cambridge side, the starboard side. Here's the Western Avenue Bridge. Same thing. You have two options of arches. Here comes the Weeks Bridge. We'll talk about the turning tree, the blue dome for all the coxswains out there. And then you whip around Weeks, aim for the middle arch of Anderson. Say hi to Radcliffe on the right. Whip around Anderson, and now you're queuing up for the big port bend. That is the 2 mile marker over on the right-hand side. It's a little triangle yellow buoy. The big turn. This is the last mile, and this is when things get real. Things get heavy. People start questioning, or maybe you're thinking, I should have trained harder. Here comes the Elliott Bridge. This year, the middle arch, this one is the only arch that you can race through. And then once you cruise around the Belmont dock, that is about 500 meters to go. Hug those bushes and then look far in the distance for the finish line buoys on the left and right. Split the difference. Bada bing, bada boom. So this is a good thing to review once the recording gets sent out. But here is an overhead shot of what we just witnessed. So on the bottom right, let me get my little lovely annotator, this little red dot. I'm circling the start chute. And then we go under to the BU Bridge, cruise around Magazine, and now you can really see the straight shot of the Powerhouse stretch. Remember, that's River Street Bridge, Western Bridge. Once you leave Western, then you start thinking, here we go, Weeks. We'll give you some bow points to look at. Then you whip around Weeks. From Weeks, you get the middle arch of Anderson. When you leave Anderson, you start queuing up for the big bend. And then You get lulled into false security before then you have to whip around Elliot. And then Elliot is that middle arch going through, wrapping around to starboard to the finish line. Here is another shot of the overhead. I like this one because it also just shows you where the mile markers are. So start line. This is the 1 mile marker. So this first mile, it's pretty straightforward. This second mile is when things get interesting. This is when decisions start to have to be made. Because if you're not an autumn, like every year is a different crew. So even if you're luxury and you have a low bow number, and you might not be as fast as you were last year, and somebody might be starting to catch you. Second mile is where people start to stack up because people start to slow down, other crews start to speed up. Weeks, Anderson, and Elliott, that's where everyone gets the most penalties. Before your heart rate goes high, we'll talk about how to avoid those. Here's the second mile marker. So right when you leave Anderson, and you start to the big bend, look to the Cambridge side, so that would be starboard side, and you'll also see a yellow triangle, and it'll say 2 miles. And then you know, okay, last mile, that's when we really have to be there for our teammates as coxswains or bow seats or whoever has the race plan. And that's where we just have to really think about being strategic about what information we give them and sticking to the plan. So we got 7 bridges. BU bridge. Notice we've got the black circles with the white arrows. That is the arch that we go through is that middle arch. Usually there's a red painting slogan over that arch. Every year it's different. Then remember, after Magazine, then it's River Street. You have 2 options of arches. Then you have Western Avenue. Again, you have 2 options. The preferred option is the middle arch. Weeks, again, middle arch all the way. You can have a Mayday moment and go to the right arch of Weeks, but it is not recommended because it will add meters, and more meters equals slower time. But if there is just it is just calamity under Weeks and there is literally nowhere to go, that could be an option. Last option. Then you got Lars Anderson. Everyone calls it Anderson. Middle arch because the one closest to shore, it's just super shallow, unsafe, unrowable. And then notice the red X. Hopefully everybody has been talking about this, but we need to officially talk about it. There is construction this year on the Elliott Bridge. So the last, or the arch on the Cambridge side, which is starboard side of the river, it is a no go. So all those lovely calamity videos you've maybe seen on YouTube and whatnot of people trying to avoid not making that finish the turn, you need to finish the turn, which is easy because that's why we're here. We are going to talk about how to execute Elliott flawlessly, and you're not even going to think about the no-go zone because why go there? We don't need to. Okay, starting shoot. So let me get my little red dot. I love it. So when we're going through the travel lane, just think, hopefully you guys have a chance to do a practice run, but I know every team is different. Everybody's schedules are different. But this black line at the bottom of the river, in our perspective, that is the travel lane. After you leave the BU bridge, which is this bridge right here, after you go underneath the BU bridge, you need to keep moving. Even if your rowers are getting hot, they want to take a layer off, keep moving until after the start shoot. Then when it is safe, then you can pull over to the shore or just out of the path, out of like the common sense lane where everybody is cruising through. Then you can stop, tell your rowers to take a break, water, delayer before maybe you start on looping in this warm-up loop. Um, the basin's always it is what it is. Depending on weather. It could be the choppiest, most unrowable basin of your life. So maybe grab a sponge, maybe have some kind of option of taking how to remove water from your boat. It's always a good idea, something lightweight, because you just never know how windy, how bumpy it's going to be. So, about 5 minutes before your start time minimum, you must be into the warm up or the lineup chute, the start chute. This is how I love to think about it. Cambridge ends with an E. So up here, even bow numbers to Cambridge, and then the odd bow numbers to the Boston side, which is on the port if you're a coxswain or just in a boat, port side. When you start to think about, okay, guys, it's about 10 minutes to start. If you have a low bow number and you're in the beginning of your of your race, then you definitely want to think about 10 minutes before, kind of lining up and not going for another round or a loop. And so there will be an official. Make sure you have like either eye contact, raise your hand, make sure that they're spotting your bow number. And then you also start to need to look at all the other boats around you to make sure that you are lining up and finding the next best odd in front of you, or the lowest odd. That's kind of an awkward thing to say. Because all the evens, if you are odd, will hopefully be on your starboard, and then all the odds will be on port. It's pretty easy. The only thing I do want to say about the start chute, really plan ahead in terms of wind, because if when you start to get stacked up, boat maneuverability becomes space is limited and it's very high commodity. So things that I like to do and things I definitely used last year, there was a persistent, really sneaky crosswind. So I really wanted to make sure that when I was stopped and I was waiting and we were just inching forward to the start line, I wanted to put my bow into the wind. But then if I just felt like I was still getting out of the lane, out of the water I wanted to maintain and own, then I just spun in place, pulled forward into the wind, and then spun back a little bit. So I maintained and owned the water that I needed to be safe. So then I wouldn't blow over into the buoy lines. So it's not as scary as it seems. It just takes communicating with the other coxswains around you and be like, hey, I think we're getting blown into the buoy line. Can we all move to starboard? And like slowly making your maneuver and blade overlapping may be okay, just so they can like be like, yeah, let's move over as a squad and as a fleet and really working together as a community. So then it's nice and safe. So don't be afraid to make friends with people who you're lining up against and with, to make sure that everybody's in the best and safest place possible. So here is a good video of what a typical race would be like. I think this person taking the video is on the BU Bridge. I will hit pause. This is a good example of the odd numbers are on the Boston side, which is right now on the right side of your screen. Cambridge even. But then as soon as you start to build toward the start line between these two triangles, yellow triangles, everybody is single file and in their preferred race line. Um, what I do want to talk about, we'll talk about in the next two slides though, is just race strategy of being at full pressure, full speed, at least 5 to 10 strokes before you cross and your bow crosses the yellow triangles. Let's get rid of this. There you go. So also new this year, we'll talk about this when there's a slide called passing. You can pass under this BU bridge. This is the railroad bridge. This is the BU bridge. Notice though, how narrow it is. It is not recommended to pass, but you don't have to be afraid that you're getting close to your competition if you have the luxury of having speed that is greater than the person in front of you. Copy that? I'm just reminding it. So from the start, you see those yellow triangle buoys. From the start to BU Bridge, it is okay to pass. Before the start, absolutely, under no circumstance, in the start chute, you may not pass. But once you are approaching the BU Bridge, and if you're catching somebody, you don't have to go easy unless you are going to create an unsafe scenario. And we'll talk about unsafe scenarios next. If you guys have any questions during any of these slides, write them down. There is a Q&A box. Hopefully you can find it. I do have a partner on this webinar. Her name is Rachel Rain. Hopefully you guys have recognized her name. She just coxed the men's 8 in the Senior World Championships this past summer. She is a University of Texas alum, NCAA champion. But I brought her on. I like fast friends. And she's going to be helping feeding me Q&A questions at the end of this webinar. And also if anybody has any questions that maybe she can just rapid fire, she can also help you out with that. Cool. Um, cool. Uh, let's get rid of that. Oh no. So this is what I'm sharing now is just this is I was in a battle loader 4 way back in the day. And I just want to show like if you're not late to the line, but sometimes people get too eager and they start stacking up. I'm just rowing by bow pair. There's the ref on the left of my bow. I'm looking left, I'm looking right. I'm just kind of zigzagging to get into my position into the start chute. So the reason why I wanted to share this is sometimes you just have to, be creative, which we all will be Friday, if you're doing a practice row before race weekend. It just gets a little crowded sometimes. So just go slow, be safe, look for bow numbers, and just make sure that then you are coming up. I think I were bow number 11. So this is also a good idea of like I'm not totally on the Boston side, but I'm pointed there and I know that I will be there and I'm allowing everybody who needs to be on the Cambridge side, like that red boat, enough space.
Hey, shoot. Classic question. Is the light red? Yes.
Okay, and always have to ask your teammate, is the light on if you're GoProing? Okay, so hopefully you have like a better idea. Okay, all right, we're approaching the line, we're getting lined up, we're going to go as soon as the race official calls you up, they'll be like, okay, race starts of race number 5, and they'll like, welcome to the race course. And then there will be the start line is on the BU boathouse. There will be somebody who's speaking to a microphone saying bow number 5 on the paddle, and then after they say on the paddle, then they'll say, all right, bow number 5, and then by your team name. Get ready to build, like you're on, like get ready to race or something like along those lines of whatever they're going to tell you to go full pressure. And then once it's full pressure, it is game on. And hopefully that full pressure, listen to the announcer, but also make sure that they're not gonna, I have told that I have heard them say, hey, paddle, 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 you're getting too close. I think I did sneak a peek at one of the Q&As and someone's like, hey, what's the time difference or what's the centers between um, each boat. I don't think they have seconds. I think they're just doing it off of visual. I mean, yeah, clearly they probably do, but they're also just kind of keeping a natural pace. So just listen. You'll be able to hear the race starter and you'll be able to hear referees being like, okay, bow number 11, paddle up a little bit. Like people are going to start marshaling you and it's not as scary or, crazy as you might think. It's just very natural if you're a part of the process because you're listening and you're ready to make just, like, okay, guys, let's move it, let's paddle. and then they'll tell you to paddle, then they'll tell you to go, and then it's just game on. So my suggestions for the first mile is, before you get to that start, full pressure. And if you've got, two ideologies, right? Do you go high strokes, that is above your race pace for a certain amount of strokes? Or are you the kind of crew that just does a three to build just to race pace and you just hammer it? There's no right or wrong of how to build to full pressure. The only thing is, are you going to do it together? And are you going to do it with intention? Because if you do it with intention and you as the coxswain or you as the bow seat are just leading, what is your most efficient rhythm that you've practiced in practice? And what is going to be the most, I guess, boat identity or feeling that everybody has envisioned and everybody has rehearsed? And everybody knows that good feeling of just hitting that really good rhythm. Once you start executing your start sequence, if you're going to choose, for example, 20 high, hopefully you're about 20 high right across the start because you're building at full speed. And then after that, maybe hold, like maybe say lengthen, maybe drop it a beat or two to a mid-level stroke rate. And then when you transition to your base, that is when you as the coxswain or bow seat is just saying into let's stride or let's go to whoever you've envisioned. And then this is a very important part. I think a lot of coxswains are just they're in a rush to want to tell your teammates about distance, especially distance to another crew. I want you to take at least two strokes to really identify, are we as efficient as we can be? Can I speak to my crew and say, yes, this is the rhythm we wanted. This is who we want to be and how we want to race. And it just takes, like, I mean, think about it. You have 3 miles to go. Not to be a downer, but just to take time, at least 2 to 5 strokes to say, yes, this is who we are. Make sure that you are also breathing if you're in the coxswain seat. Get to work, have fun, and see what you guys can become over that first mile. Like, lead with that thesis statement of how do you want to race? Why do you want to race? Then you can look ahead of you, give distance, your best guess about how many boat lengths to the next best crew. But it also has to come about to, like, okay, why are you giving them that information? What do you want your rowers to respond? How do you want them to respond? And hopefully it's one united, collective, just shove, lever, good foundation in the beginning. Cool? All right. So we state our intention, we update. We do us first. Take care of you first, then update about where everybody else is, but you're saying it to validate why your rhythm is really, really good. As you come under the BU bridge, look to your starboard because that is when you're going to have to start to look for those green buoys. And you have to keep all those starboard or all those buoys to your starboard. Because then you also have to think about what kind of style your crew is. Are they rowdy? Are they aggressive? Do they want your oars over the buoy? Do they want your hull, your boat, your rowing shell? Do they want that rowing shell right along the buoy line? Because at head of the Charles, you are allowed to have your oars over the buoy. You are not allowed to have your boat over a buoy. So this is where it gets tricky because sometimes the buoys get pulled around a bit if oars are, getting caught in them. So you have to look ahead at that, like 2 or 3 buoys. I'm always looking like, okay, here, there's one buoy. Where's the next? Where's my line? Where's the trajectory of my boat? And are there any stray buoys? Do I have a fast boat? Do I have a smooth rudder that I can just make sure that the buoy's under my rigger because I see the next 2, 3 buoys and I feel safe. I'm not going to cut the buoy line and, miss a buoy. If you miss a buoy, first infraction's 5-second penalty. And then if you miss any other buoys, it's an extra 10, it's another 10 seconds. So first one's 5, the other ones are 10-second penalties. Take advantage of the adrenaline because that first mile, you're not going to have to tell them to go harder. You're going to have to tell them to be smart and stick to the plan, stick to the winning rhythm, and make sure that you're really thinking about what will be your technical focus, what really makes your team and your boat row well. Is it the front end? Is it keeping horizontal? Is it just really smooth circles and finishes? Whatever your technical focus is that really maximizes your boat speed, make sure that you are really keeping tabs on being the truth stick and the assessor of quality, because that's what we are. We are quality control as coxswains and bow seats or whoever's making the calls in your boat. I also a really good if your team loves to do tens, I think leaving the BU bridge and making a 10 to maybe solidify your intention, solidify how demanding your legs are going to be. What is going to be your intention for the whole powerhouse stretch? Because it is the straightest path. And it's just when you just get into that money rhythm and just think about levering hard for those two bridges of River Street and Weeks. So, passing. How are y'all doing? Because I know that passing um, is on everybody's mind. When I was looking through registrations and I was like, hey, got any questions? What are you most concerned about? It's all about how am I going to pass? How am I going to yield? Is anybody else going to yield to me? So here, let's just all agree. This is why we're all here. We're here to race hard, but we're also here to race fair. So within a length of open water. So say you're cruising and it's just reality. Somebody behind you is faster. So within a boat length of open water, tell your crew, start thinking of your options. What is happening? What is going to be the next bridge ahead? What is going to be the next marker? Any sticky points that you know are coming up. And then also ask yourself why. Why is that crew faster? What can we do to clean up our technique? Maybe front ends, maybe being more horizontal, maybe finishing the leg drive and not leaning back and being slouchy. How can you accelerate into the finish rather than starting to slump? All these things, whenever I feel like somebody's moving, how are we going to fix our boat speed? Are we just slowing down or is somebody else just faster? Those are all those things that you have to start thinking. So if you're in the bow loaded four, this is where you need to work on communication with your bow seat. And they also need to know, hey, within a length of open, the intention of that crew needs to be very clear, meaning you need to hold your line if you're the person passing. So say you're coming up on weeks. You need to make sure that your boat is in the best possible line, which I'll tell you. Um, and please assume people are going to be out of your way. Okay, let's think about best case scenario. Um, and this is when you need to tell people very clear, hey, bow number 18, move to port, and then using hand gestures as well to point to where they need to go. Because then referees and officials will see, okay, the overtaking crew, the faster crew, made a voice direction and also pointed. Be assertive, but also be just demanding and polite. Like move to port now. I like to say please. You don't have to. Assume they're not going to hear you, not on purpose, they're in their little coxswain bubble as well, like they're racing to their best ability. So make sure that you are pointing, you are being very clear, and you're just speaking in a very direct way. Okay? If you're too aggressive as a passer, you can be assessed a penalty. So yes, we need to make sure that people move, but if they didn't hear you, I mean, things happen. Things happen all the time. So let's just all make a promise. Hitting somebody is slower. Paddling maybe one or two strokes is not ideal, but it's safer, and you can also hit the go button when you get a good clear shot. Here's another thing. If you catch up to somebody, they might be human, meaning now that there's a carrot, what if they finally got their act together and started to row well and better, and they started to hold you off? You don't have an infinite amount of time to pass. Like you need to be actively gaining inches and actively gaining seats in order for someone to get out of your way. Um, so just make sure that you are being clear with your line, and you're making good choices so people know where they need to go if you are the faster crew. Here's an example.
And we're gonna start.
This is here's under BU Bridge. Um, and what I like about this example, if you can time telling somebody to move under a bridge, it's just amplification. Yeah, in a perfect world, it might not happen, but it's really cool to time like, hey, move to port, move to starboard as the um, the acoustics help you. It's another little tidbit.
Moving on this pass right now. Great. Nice, guys. Yeah. All right, we're going to come on your inside. Nice, guys. All right, CLI, move to port. Move to port. Move to port. Move to port! Yep. You guys need to move over. Yep. Good. All right, you're going to have blades just off port side. Nice, guys. Good job. All right. Yeah.
What I love about that is the coxswain is I'll just talk to you real quick like this. What's cool about it is the coxswain was very clear. She told him to move to port 3, 4 times, and also stated it pretty fast or pretty hard when they got closer. And that's the thing too. Sometimes you have to wait for the bow seat to communicate to the coxswain. And then also she communicated to her crew. If you're going to be in a sticky situation, warn your teammates, hey, port side, you're going to get close to their oars. I want you to look at the oar. We're going to be safe. I got you. This is the plan. If you can just communicate what's going to come up, what's going to come up next, it just it calms everybody down. Cool? Okay, so what do you do? So that's if you're the passer. State your intention, hand gesture, a good one, and just make sure that you speak in a loud voice. Tell them where to go. So now, you're the one being passed. So what you have to do is your goal is still to be as fast as possible. Remember, this is a time trial. So even if somebody passes you, you could still be doing very, very well among the field. If that crew who's not passing you is stating their intention, um, don't give away the line if they're not going to take it. Some coxswains make illogical decisions. So this is where it gets sticky, right? So you're looking back or you're asking your bow seat, hey, where they're going. And if the coxswain just says like, hey, we're gonna go wide, awesome. You're not doing anything wrong because they have not asked you to do anything to get out of their way. So there's another rule of thumb as well. Yes, you can make sure that you're moving out. But if it doesn't make sense because they are already, they didn't plan ahead, just keep racing, keep holding very logical lines. Um, So what if they got the inside of a turn, you moved on the outside? That's great. Keep communicating to your teammates. But honestly, if the boat is now we're like talking about, okay, a length of open, start thinking. Half a length of open, start really decide, like maybe moving out a foot, test the waters, like are they coming? Are they coming? Or are they not? Remember, people who are passing you don't have an infinite amount of time, because last year it took us 2 miles to pass somebody because we were like cooking. Then we got their puddles, which is a-okay. They reacted. We had to reel them back in. The coxswain moved out like half a lane, thinking, okay, it's within a half a boat. That the coxswain moved out half a lane. We didn't go anywhere. And yes, I was frustrated, but that's life. That's fun about racing. And then as soon as I saw the coxswain move back to get a better, faster line, because they wanted to get the inside of the turn, I wasn't mad because that was within their right. So, and then when we closed in, now we're still half a boat of open water. Then now we're like 2 seats of open water. And so the coxswain kind of looked back, kind of like moved out half a lane. And I, communicated to my crew, it's now, let's go, let's go. And then finally it was like then bow deck, stern deck overlap. But then now you're working as a team, because you don't, and if it takes you another 500 meters to pass, maybe you are lucky to be on the inside of weeks, but what if you can't pass them in time to get the quote inside of Anderson? That's not their fault, because they gave you the preferred line of weeks. Now they're stuck on the inside. Now you have to go wide of Anderson, which honestly is not a big deal, because why? You want to be on the inside of the big bend. So sometimes you're not going to be able to get the inside of every turn because you, as the passer, didn't get open water to cut in front of somebody else. And then the people getting passed, yes, you're going whatever the first opportunity for them to pass you. Yes, you give them the inside, but if they don't clear you, and then all of a sudden now you have a favorable line, that's fine. That is a-okay. That is safe. That is racing. Okay. So if you have any questions, write them down. We'll review, but hopefully just kind of strategizing, thinking about how to pass, when to pass. That's racing. This is fun. Okay, so here is powerhouse stretch passing. So what we're seeing, so to get everybody on the same page, is on the upper left hand, that is Magazine Beach Riverside Boathouse. So then if you see it, the boat on the right is red, the middle boat kind of is blue and white unisuits, and then the boat on the left of the screen is dark. Let's call them dark black. Cool. So remember the first bridge, which this person's on, it's River Street Bridge. And now, how many arches do you have? Pop quiz, think about it. 2. You have 2 arches. So it looks to me like, well, we'll just hit play. So the boat in the middle is telling that person, hey, on the right, I think they pointed to them, we want this arch. Now look, now we see, awesome, hit the wrong button.
Good, nice thing.
Little foreshadowing. So when the frame comes out, on the left hand of the screen, you'll see 2 boats. So it seems like those 2 boats are slower. They're choosing the far arch on Cambridge. The coxswain's right, the starboard side arch. This boat is now coming into the middle arch, the blue and white unis. 2 boats can fit into the arches without clashing. 2 boats can fit in each arch, the middle arch or the starboard side arch of River Street, and also Western. You just have to be smart. And if the black with the red stripe team just moved over to port a touch and the other boat moved over to starboard a touch, they would not have clashed. But I think this coxswain made a safe move. They let it run because they were safe, or they were, um, who knows if they were scared on the abutment. But you can work together to fit two boats under an arch, and this is what we'll see.
Good. Nice.
This is a cool boat. The coxswain who's coxing, her name's Caitlin Snyder. She's a two-time Olympian in 2016, gold medalist, and then in 2020, she coxed the eight, the women's eight. So this is her point of view. And what I want to talk about is really thinking about owning your water and knowing it's okay, knowing in the middle arch, two boats can safely go through. In the far starboard side arch, two boats can go blade tip to blade tip without hitting.
Nice and clean. You're going to get some blades right here. Just stay controlled, okay?
So realistically, the boat to the starboard side, the right-hand side of the screen, they should have moved over half a lane. But I get it. They're afraid to hit an abutment, right? There's trust issues in coxswains and also a head racing. You don't know their intention. But I loved how Caitlin holds her line. She doesn't yell. She doesn't like tell, she doesn't go crazy. She tells her teammates, hey, there's going to be blades overlap, but this is what we're going to do about it. But then also at the end of the day, when we get closer to the bridge, it all works out. Sorry, spoiler alert. But
keep pushing back. Keep pushing back. We got a bridge right ahead of us. Good. Good. Just stay controlled. Let's go. Finishes for 5 in 2. Ready? 1, 2. Finished is now. Complete. Complete.
clashing.
Okay, right back in it now. That's it. That's it. Ready? As soon as we get clear of this bridge, we're going to charge, okay? In 2. Sit up and go.
So you get close to the abutments, but you can be safe. So right now they're underneath the bridge. No blades are clashing. No blades are hitting the abutments. So things just got a little tight because sometimes you have to aim for an abutment and then slide in just with perspective. So make sure blade tips, really try not to hit blade tips. Move over just maybe a half a lane or whatnot. But I loved how Caitlin was just being like, this is the plan. We're gonna chill here, and as soon as we come out of the bridge, we're gonna have more room, and then we're gonna throttle it.
Ready? 1, 2. Tall and make your push now. Good. Yeah. Yeah, that's it. That's it.
Cool. So sometimes you have to sweet talk your rowers and be like, hey, we gotta chill for 5 strokes. We're coming into the bridge. Things are gonna get tight. But when we come out of the bridge, we're going to throw a 10 and we're going to get out of here. So sometimes just knowing the plan, knowing what's going to come up next is really going to help. Like, the rowers are your engine. And if you're rowing with a teammate in a double, or if you're in a single, you're the engine. How are you going to just have to back off a little bit? But then how are you going to go to get ahead of somebody because you know what the next bridge is coming up? Okay, first mile is done. So second mile, remember, the first mile is between River Street and Western. Done. Now here comes the fun part. You're coming out of the powerhouse stretch. Now the second mile starts just before Western and it ends right after Anderson. So you need to make sure that you are visualizing the turns. I like to check in with any technical issues that might be breaking down because now we're in, over 8 minutes into this race, maybe over 10 minutes into this race. You need to make sure that you're giving them feedback, but you're also assessing the quality of technique. All right. We can't motivate, quote, be rah rah the whole time. Like the Charles is going to take care of that. And the rower's job is to go. Our job as coxswains is to assess Are we being efficient? And at this point, we're human and it's physiological, like the physiology is going to catch up to us, the lactic acid is going to catch up to us, technique will break down. That's it, just it's a given. So how are we going to remind our crew and our team to to make sure that we're unified and we just give a really good clean push and make sure that we're not getting floppy with our body. So just throwing technique just to make sure you're filling up space and having things to say, go one step further and think about what is usually the go-to cues that helps bring back the power application to be united. And that is why we use technique and technical calls. Why? Because we want the power application of 8 individuals or 4 individuals, 2 or 1. Um, we want it to be as efficient as possible. So just being like, hey, first we're gonna do 10 for catches, 10 for finishes, just cause. Between those calls, you as the coxswain need to assess, did we increase boat speed? If you do have a GPS, if you do have a stroke, like, splits or whatnot, it's a great way to give feedback after you give that technical call. And that's why you give them that reason. We need to sit tall. We need to have that catch in. And if we do that, we have an opportunity to increase our boat speed. Okay, so I've listened to a lot of audio and a lot of coxswains are just like, in the next 10 strokes, drop 2 splits, go. Let's go one step further and let's tell them how and when. And what I mean by how and when is, okay, you identified the problem. You're 2 splits slower. Now let's offer a solution. What's your go-to? Are we lunging? Are we opening too soon? Are we if we're opening if we're opening too soon, are our legs slowing down? So these are all the things that I'm thinking about. Are we suspending? Are we slumping? Are we rowing it in? Are we placing first before we're pushing? All these things I want to know. Like, how can I offer a solution to increase the split by 2? So inside voice, I'm looking at my split. I'm like, we are slow. Why? Is it a headwind? That's a possibility too. Be smart. Be like, hey, we're 2 splits slower. Do you feel that wind? Everybody needs to do this. Like, everyone has to handle that wind. Let's handle it better. Ready to shove and lean hard on this one. So you identified the problem, the wind. You identified that it's affecting your boat speed, but this is what we're going to do about it. We're going to be tougher and we're going to shove and lean harder. Ready, go. Then you're going to execute whatever number of strokes that you want, assess speed. If you maintain that split, that's positive because you didn't slow down further. That's a little inch. Say, yes, we've stabilized our speed. Now can we drop in another one? Ready to shove together on this one. And then you like the speed and like the split, that backs up your decision making. I hear a lot of coxswains just use split as encouragement, but we need to be smarter than that and use split to prove that our technical decision making and our implementation and our leadership moment of telling them and being an agent of change. Then you drop the PS. We just dropped 2 splits. Listen to me. We need that top quarter now. So that is like the second mile and especially the last mile. That's the kind of how to use technique, how to use information, how to use split if you have it, because you don't need it, especially during racing. You just go AFAB. But boat feel and how to give them that agent of change of catches or finishes, horizontal, whatever it is. Stick to that theme and then be that agent of change. Cool. I think planning for audibles as well, assessing, like, are we coming into weeks? Do we need to go now? Using 5s, using 10s, using the little go buttons, but you got to tell them why. Hey guys, this is the scene. We're just leaving weeks. We got to go to Anderson, but I want to be on the inside of Anderson. We got to go now. Ready? Go. So you gave them like why you're doing something, what's at stake, and how are you going to implement those things. Cool. Kind of like I'm fired up. I'm on a race right now. And I know I kind of went off on a tangent about just how to use technique, how to use split, how to unify after making big turns. Just being an agent of change is our moment. And that's why coxing is the best seat ever because we can assess are our individual efforts, are we are we uniting? And if so, hell yeah, tell them that. If not, okay, why? And that's where we have to start figuring out. Do we go to the front end first? Do we go to the back half first? I don't know. I don't know your crew. Um, but that's the fun part about building a team and figuring out what is good and how to be good.
Mary, I have a question from the chat that I think
Oh,
you should answer live right now.
perfect. Bring me back, Rachel.
You were talking about split and giving crews their information. One question in the chat was, my team does not have access to a speed coach. Do you have any tips for relaying info when you only have Coxbox with a timer?
It's perfect. You don't need split. I never raced with split. But what you do need is you need awareness of how do you, if you're sitting in the stern of an eight, how are you feeling? Like I'm starting, I don't know if you guys can see my body, but if you are getting driven forward and it doesn't feel good, doesn't feel comfortable, why? Are they opening? Are they driving before the blade is under? Uh, Probably yes. So there's these things that if you're not there in your coxswain journey, a-okay. Just make sure you have what have you been working on technically for the last week, week and a half? What can you start to talk to your coach about? About, hey, what when you see us start to break down, what have they been cueing to get everybody back up to their best effort? So I think that is what really helps. Like first you identify the problem. Something doesn't feel right. Awesome. That's boat feel. What calls, meaning what focuses of top quarter connection, legs first, lean tall, what does your coach have you guys practice that really makes everybody excited to get back on the same page? That's your homework to figure out. Maybe a good old fashioned boat meeting. Hey, when we start to break down, what are some of the calls that really help unite us? Put that into your brain. Then, if you feel like it just feels like you're rolling through pudding, you're just like dumpy, like things aren't just clicking, that's when you start going to your playbook of what did we talk about of how to fix intention mentally or um, intention technically of how to put the blade in, how to transfer your body weight to the face of the blade. So it's possible. I think we love technology now, but I also think we lean on it a little too hard. We need to start thinking, use technology if you have it, to train your boat feel, but you can still train your boat feel by being aware of what's happening of practice and also asking yourself why. Why in practice is our coach making us do top quarter, top quarter, top quarter? Why is my coach going legs first, legs body, full strokes? Technique. It's like how to be efficient, how to unite everybody's power application. Cool. So it's okay. You don't need split to be good. You don't need technology to be good. You just need commitment. You need to talk about it, meaning with your team. You need to come up with a plan of what are our fix it strategies when things are going off the rails. And then it's our job to assess, oh, it's time. It's time to do plan A of legs first. And then you talk to your crew. Hey guys, you feel that? We're going off the rails a bit. You ready to go back to plan A? Yes. Into change it. 1, 2, now. Did you as a coxswain feel the boat react? hopefully. And then you validate and you say, yes, did you hear that? Or did you feel that? We just went all in. This feels better. Whatever you're doing individually, it's helping us as a collective unit. Game on, let's go. Easy peasy. So yeah, you are not at a disadvantage if you don't have technology. Old school, baby. All right, so powerhouse stretch is done. We're on to the second mile. We've got a plan about how to fix any physiological, technical problems when you leave Western. Okay? When you leave Western, then you're like, oh my gosh, we're at weeks already. It's gonna fly by, which is fun. So I'm gonna show you a couple examples of sometimes you're gonna be able to see that blue dome just to the left of that arrow. All right, the blue kind of tower cupola dome. Whenever I'm leaving whenever I'm leaving Western, I'm always thinking, okay, I see the dome, I see the Weeks Bridge. I see where the bridge meets the shore. That's my first target. So I'm thinking that's where I'm headed, that's where I'm going. And then I'm cross-referencing it. Is the dome over the head of my rowers, if you're in an 8? Or is the dome over my bow deck and my bow ball's aimed toward it? If you're in a bow letter 4, you might not be able to see it. If you're low, we'll see some examples. I don't know. Can you also see, where's my little annotation? Where is, oh, there it is. Here we go. My little spotlight, it's back. Okay, so right there's the dome, and then we're gonna talk about this turning tree that here comes a circle in about 2 seconds. Wait for it. Boom. This tree. Sometimes it's a yellow. We'll have a better shot of what this turning tree is. You're like, turning tree? What? Basically, when your bow deck crosses that, hang a left, and you're going through weeks. Okay? So let's get rid of the annotation now. And let's go to the next slide. So after you're leaving Western, you look for that blue dome. Stay in the blue dome until that turning tree. I'll show a better example. And then you're cranking all the way rudder to port. And then you're choosing when to call your starboards hard, and more importantly, when to tell your ports to go easy. Now, what I'm about to talk to you about is a default, meaning if you follow these examples, you're going to have a beautiful turn. Can you have a tighter, more efficient turn? Absolutely, and that's why we want to practice. So if you're in a 4, that bottom bullet point, if you're in a 4, you might be able to turn sooner, or you might even be able to go tighter. It just depends on your rowers, it depends on your hull, and it depends on your rudder. So this is just going to be a default weeks. If you hit it,
Stable and rhythmic. Stable and rhythmic. That's the way. Good.
okay, of course, I stopped it when it's blurry, but when I hit play, in a bow loader, you might not be able to see the blue dome. Okay, but what can you see? You can see where the bridge meets the shore, and that's usually in the ballpark of where the dome is.
Nice, guys.
This is a beautiful photo of the tree, is like this yellow aspect of it. I think the tree is definitely getting thinner in its age. So it's a cool, like if you're walking around, walk to Weeks. Go see all the shops and stuff and be like, hey, this is the turning tree. You know, like you'll be able to see it. Again, once your bow ball gets close to that tree, then you start cranking your rudder full to port, making your boat go to port. And then you're choosing when to call your starboards harder and when to call your ports easier, depending on the reaction of your rudder and the boat.
We're gonna kill this turn.
Let's go back to this guy.
Stable and rhythmic. Stable and rhythmic. That's the way. Good. Nice, guys. Awesome. Coming up on the tree. Easing onto the right abutment. All right, gang. Starboards, get ready. Now, go! Hit it! Big starboards! And big starboards! Yes! Nice! Nice, Shayla! Big finish now. That's right, it's gonna be perfect. It is going to be perfect. That's it, nice, guys! I love it! Yeah, Shayla! Nice! Even pressure, beautiful, guys.
So you want the turn, you want to be that diagonal to port while you're entering weeks.
Stable and
Another.
We're gonna kill this turn. Let's get everybody breathing. Get low. Right on.
Here, right above the rowers, little blue dome. Don't be tricked by the one on the far right. Over the rowers, cross-reference it to where the bridge meets the shore.
And I need more direct catches.
This is where the tree is now a still lighter shade of green, right over the blades of diagonal of the blades of stars.
On this one, chest up. Sit up, hook it. Sit up, better. That's it, guys. Hanging the turn, staying tall, getting ready to hit it, holding my line, starting the turn on this one, turning. Yep, killing it. Hang back now with me. Starboards coming in on this one now, starboards. Go now! Go now! Yeah, that's it! Killing it through the weeks. Sitting tall, coming through the arch. Ready to go even pressure on this one, even now. Straight back.
So your decision when to call even pressure, and that's going to be how you feel, meaning the goal. Let me get my little marker. The goal is to have your boat aimed. Good job, Mary. Biff that up. Your goal is to.
Yep, killing
when you
now.
Anderson
Through
or
the weeks, sitting tall, coming through the arch.
want to aim
Ready to go even pressure on this one, even now. Straight back.
So I think this coxswain called even too soon, but I don't know, because I don't know if that coxswain felt the rudder still moving the boat, and they wanted full pressure by everyone because they knew they could finish the turn with the rudder. You know what I mean? So it's like, would you rather have all 8 rowers at max and finish the turn with the rudder? I probably think so. So I think still the setup was great. Why do we want to turn before the bridge? Because we want to leave weeks in a position to have a straight line to the middle arch of Anderson. All right, and that's the point of how you set up a turn, regardless if it's weeks, wherever you're racing next in a head race. Think about how do you want to leave the turn, and that's going to help you plan what water you need to own and pass through and where the apex is going to be. So when you leave the turn, you're not going to be bulging left or right, and you're not going to be swinging wide. You're going to just be like dead on where you need to go. So that was easy because there was no traffic.
half the length and a half about 24. I need you to stay.
Okay, so now we have traffic. So this is great. This is this is an 8. We're gonna have different points of view, and this is just great. I'll just
Tall. Stay tall. BC! Stick to starboard! Legs, quicker catches. Legs, quicker catches. They are not going to pick up this turn for us. I will get you there, promise, ladies. I will get you there.
All right, so she's not aimed with that blue dome, because you also have to think about where the buoy line is on the left in this view on the left side of the rowers. So I think she had to move out a little bit because of traffic. So you might not have a favorable line coming in, but you still have those 3 reference points. You still know where the dome is, but she's aimed at the abutment where she is physically on the body of water. She's aimed at the abutment that is joining the shore, and that turning tree is now on the just to the right of her rowers' heads. It's a different color a little bit.
Shove them! DC! Starboard! Legs! Legs! Yes!
Now she's getting on the dome.
Up! DC! No! Legs down! Legs! Columbia, stay to starboard! Sharpen! Sharpen our turn coming up! Columbia, stay to starboard!
Because you don't want to follow the buoy line into weeks. Why? Because I'll tell you, if she was more over to port, so left of the screen, it would be a really tight turn to the port. So you want to be like like once you leave the arch of Western, you're gonna be set up beautiful. So don't worry. Just don't get tricked of being like, oh, here's a buoy line. I'm just gonna naturally move to it. It's okay entering weeks that the buoy line is kind of far to your port. It's okay as long as you cross-reference to how you left Western. Cool. Your cross-reference points again is abutment, shore, and then when you get closer, it's the blue dome.
Now! Legs down! Might get some blade to blade, it's okay. Yeah! Own it, ladies! Alright, I like my turn. Nothing's wrong here. Sit up. Own them. Yes? Own them. Yes? Legs down. Alright, guys, my turn's coming up here. I'm on your rudder. Eyes up. Shove. We're gonna pass 3 crews. Passing them. Legs! Yes! Legs! Yeah! I'm gonna need you starboards get ready. This catch.
So if you are the inside of this week's turn, there's zero room for error, and she does this flawlessly because if you go wide leaving weeks, and the rower and the crews, the teams who are on the outside of you, and so in this particular starboard side, they're going to have an easier time cutting to port. All these boats who are on starboard, they're doing a great job yielding. They're still in the best possible position while being passed. They're still going in that middle arch. They're still making that epic turn. And they're still envisioning having a lane open because somebody is actively passing them. So everyone's doing a great job.
Starboards! Shove bigger! Shove bigger! Legs! I need easy port! Easy port! Sharp! Ready, Ollie? Back on it now! Back!
So let me back up just a touch. This is a great discussion point right here. Leaving weeks. This is why I love weeks to Anderson, because this is where all the decisions are made. There's traffic. You need to assess now the speed of your competition, reference it with the speed of you. Here's option 1. That boat that is just to port of her bow marker, just to her bow deck, as a coxswain, you have to say, okay, I can put my boat to starboard side of that boat can still stay on my port because I'm going to now think about the inside of Anderson. Here's a big but. Do you believe you're going to be able to have open water clearance on that boat? So then you are now on the inside port big turn that leads you into Elliott. It's a would you rather. Because you do not want to be on the outside of the big bend to port because you failed to have clearance. And that boat gave you the inside of Anderson. They yielded, they did their job. But now you need to do your job and to get clear of them before you cut over to the inside of port. So this is the die. This is the roll of the dice, right? And so that's why I would recommend leaving leaving weeks. If you have traffic, hold your line to the middle of Anderson and give yourself options. And this is what Phoebe, this is the coxswain, this is what she does, because she still has about like a length and a half of open to decide. Left or right, port or starboard of that boat, port or starboard. But you need to get closer to assess the speed. Do I quote go on the outside of Anderson because I definitely want the inside of the big turn.
Back on it now. Back on it. Legs down.
Oh, we will never know, but that's a good discussion point. They do great. Okay, so here's the thing. If you have at least a half a boat length of open between you and the person in front of you, of course within reason, right? That's always everything's within reason. You can complete weeks without freaking out. Like I think if you give everybody a half a length, and please listen, I'm not telling you to slow down to maintain a half a length. I'm not telling you to slow down. I'm just telling you if you're like, oh man, we're catching up. But if you think you're going to not, it's gonna still be at least a half a length of open. Game on, full throttle, just go, and then you're gonna figure out when you leave weeks, left or right, if you're gonna still reel in whoever. Yeah. Being on the inside with weeks is the goal, but you're also again vulnerable. Like if those crews, if that crew that we just saw, if she went super wide and she didn't have the engine to really whip around port, if she went wide and clashed, she probably would have been assessed a penalty because she had the green light and she just didn't get the job done. But what I loved about what she did was she really told her ports, and this is what you might need to do. Ports, no pressure, no pressure, no pressure, because I mean, starboards know they're gonna have to go full. And if full is still not cranking it around, the other option of the equation is less to port. Okay, so here is a really good, really great example. Worst case scenario, this Coxswain Leslie is like, yes, you can play this clip, but you must tell everybody I did not want to stop. Yeah, I spoiled it. But you're remember the job is to go as fast as possible. So just don't throw in a pause and wait unless there's no other option. So first is planning
press
is
the
always
push.
go.
Press. Last quarter of the drive. Weeks is mine. We're overtaking. In, out. In, out. In, out. I know how to do it. You worry about it. Squeeze. In and out of the water together. Squeeze. In, out. In, out. In, out. Go wide. Squeeze it. Come on, ladies, I need seats right now. Go. I'm going into it. I might ask you to do a little pause. It's not going to worry. Push and swing. In and out. Breathe. I'm going to take them after weeks. I'm taking them after weeks. Push and swing. I'm coming. Go to a pause. Now, pause. This one, pause. Sorry, guys. Stay. You're going to pick it up with a flying start. Get ready and go. 1, 2, 3/4 for 4. Now 1, 2, 3, 4. Sit up. Starboard. Now get over, Marin. Come in. It's mine. Go. Run them down now. Get out of the way. Move. Get over. Go. Good. Move out. Okay, get it back in 3. 1, 2, 3. Get it coming. In, out. Get over.
All right, so that's what all I want to say. So here's a great example of being in a sticky position, because think about this. When we hit play,
Oh, and press the push.
that crew was slow on port, but they were hugging the buoy line and not in a favorable line. However, it's still it is what it is. Would you what if you were the coxswain, would you really take evasive maneuver and move to port? It just was a sticky situation, and it was I think the coxswain made a very great decision, because this is the black boat, the boat from Marin. They were just way too tight, and it was a good example of they were going to go wide, and the blue boat that we were watching, they were wide and they could go tight in. So it's just apexes of turns, who has the right line, knowing where to go and reading somebody else's line really helps you make the decision of, do I go wide? Maybe she should have gone wide and she should have kept going. Like it was just a really hard decision. And then she just made a game time decision. It's fun. It's one that you replay over and over again. You have two options: go wide, keep going. But I don't think that Coxswain trusted the red boat to finish the turn. So it was just kind of like, oh no, would you rather? These are hard decisions to make. So do your best. Even if you think it's the best decision, you're always going to second guess. But what is the best decision of that event? No boat was injured. No, no human was injured, and everybody was racing. So that's what makes a good decision: safety of humans, then safety of equipment, and it is what it is.
All right, our turn is coming up in about, I'd say 20 strokes, maybe 15. Stay long. It's going to be really important that everyone stays super long through this turn. Okay, good. Good. This guy's wide. This could get interesting. Everyone's going to need to stay loose. We got a half a length from our bow to their stern, and that should work out just great. Turning tree is coming up. Looking good. All right, no danger of them being in too tight, so that part's good. All right, guys, get ready. Starboards. Get set and hit it. I'm on the tiller. Here we go. Good. Nice. Yep. Looking good. We may come through this part way with these guys, but our turn is going to be super. All right, they're coming in a little tight. I got to go a little straight. Stay loose. Stay loose. Good. Get ready to paddle a stroke. No, okay, paddle a stroke, paddle a stroke. Port's light, port's super light. Starboard's crank it, starboard's crank it. Crank it, crank it. Good, you got it. Even pressure. Nice job. Woo!
All right. So avoiding collisions is our number one job. Think about it. Like sometimes you have to forgive. Sometimes you have to forgive your line. You might have to forgive maybe two paddle strokes. Look, it was only like half a seat before bow deck hit stern deck, but it was the right call. And then as soon as you get a line, then you boogie away. So just be clear. I loved how Yaz was talking through her decisions out loud so her crew knew what was expected of them. So thinking about when you go to weeks, motivation, turn that off. Execution, turn it on. You can even tell your crew, hey guys, I might be talking out loud. This is me walking us through weeks. Just make sure that you're thinking about execution, you're thinking about safety, you're assessing your competition's line, and you're just trying to make the best guess, best decision that you're not going to collide, and you're going to make sure that you're just whatever window they're going to give you, then you're going to call an audible and you're going to just go. Your rowers are going to be adrenaline. Their job is to respond to what you need. And so hopefully you're telling them that before you race. But it was just a great decision making by both coxswains. Valued not hitting, sacrificing one or two strokes, and then going full on. Like you can, if you do have to stop rowing, talk about how to get your boat back up to speed as fast as possible. A flying start is a great job. Doing high strokes, and then also then choosing when to say, okay guys, we need to establish our rhythm again. Ready? Let's calm down. Let's get back to base on this one. So it's okay to be frantic a bit, but then our job is to get everybody back on track after you leave a dicey situation. Cool. So after you leave weeks, pointing to the middle arch of Anderson. And this is when you're going to have to plan. Am I going to go wide in Anderson? Is there going to be an easy path and I can just be tight on Anderson to starboard? But then once we leave Anderson, how are we going to set ourselves up for the big turn? So here's some Anderson strategies. weeks. Oh, this is awesome. This is the grade 8. So here is, they're reeling in a crew just to the port side of bow down. And then she's setting herself up because she wants the inside of Anderson. Then you gotta think, after Anderson, it's about 250-ish meters to pass. What's gonna be safe? Okay, she's within the lane. Closing in on half the lane, you know. When you're like, do I want to push them out? Will they listen? Or do I want to still aim the coxswain back so I can have an option of going port or starboard? Committing to the inside. Like, okay, that boat's not moving. They're within a feet or two of overlap. Maybe even inches. Their stern deck is in the water bubble. Hi-yo! So close! Then, now number 6 is responding. They're jacking up the rate. And look how close this is! Inches! Pushing the idea because now they want the inside of the big turn. So, I guess my point is I just love watching that because it's like, I mean, we're talking slivers before contact of deciding, ooh, maybe they are moving out. Maybe the coxswain should have just made the coxswain of bow number 6 coxswain the target. And then once you get closer, then you'll have an option of maybe moving starboard or port. So I always love to have myself a safety. So I think that would be the only suggestion I would maybe suggest, but who knows? Like, it's so easy, you know, Monday quarterbacking. But to think about if she maybe held the inside too long and then realizing, oh wait, I need the inside of the big bend. So just think about, how do you want to leave Anderson to set you up for the big?
This is what it comes down to. Nice job. 7, hit it. 8, coming level. 9, yes. 10, we are 20 strokes from that bridge. Let's get it up there. Good. Whaling, Betsy. Back her up, Kristen. This is what it's all about. Nice. 3 boats headed for the bridge. We gotta go. Up 3. Hit it. Go. Bigger. Go. Bigger. Go. Bigger. If we can get ahead of these guys, we have a chance.
This is a great, I'm hitting pause. So she's lined up for the middle arch. Look over just to where the blade tips are. So the far right arch of this example, it's the Cambridge arch. Remember, that is a no-go. So the middle arch is the only one available, all right? So 3 boats definitely can't fit, but she told her crew what was at stake. 20 strokes to the bridge, 3 across. We're gonna jump the rate up 3 and it's go time. And
that's it. Good. Nice. Doing it. Good guys. Good guys. Nice. Keep going. We're gonna pull it off. We're gonna pull it off. Nice. Keep going. You got it. Yes! Good job! Nice! You crushed that! Everybody, let's...
And she chose, and then she looked back. She was clear of open water. Then you can maybe like finish the turn and start to look for the apex of the big bend.
Here we go, Huskies! Port's bringing it around.
All right, here's another good shot. So this is under Anderson. Remember, you want to take Anderson, you want to prep. How do you want to leave Anderson? And this is a really good example of telling the crews that you're passing what to do in a very clear, direct way, and keeping your cool.
Ready? Now, set! Ports in, go! Legs down, send! Sit up now, yep! Sit up now!
The she just told the boat to her port. She gave a hand gesture, like move. Hopefully now bow seat of that floor is going to tell the coxswain to move. But let's see what they're going to do with this boat right in front of them.
I want you on the legs, on the shove. Right here, lock on. Right here, lock on. Yes, dogs. Yes, dogs. All right.
And then as a coxswain, I'm saying yes. I am now seeing a visual cue from the boat in front of me. Their hull is now pointed to starboard. That's awesome. I'm going to keep pointing. I'm going to keep gesturing with my hand, but I also know right on the rigger of the bow of the boat in front of this boat, in front of this racer, there is a horizontal, the starboard rigger. There's a horizontal apartment complex. That is going to be your visual cue for the apex of the big bend. So I highly recommend, if you have a chance, get yourself physically walking on top of Anderson. And if you can walk on Anderson and look and think, okay, be in the arch, the middle arch, and stand on top of the bridge. And then look in the distance where the buoy line starts to move to port and where on that apartment complex you want to aim, because it's going to get fuzzy, and it's farther than you think, for the big bend. And I usually always look at that apartment complex to help me get into the ballpark before I can start seeing the buoys.
On the rudder, the tiny bits get through all these crews. I want you to sit up. BC to starboard. Lock on right here. Sit up. Here we go, dogs. We're going to get in it. We're going to get in it. Ready? One circle. One shove. BC to starboard. Princeton, stay port. Yes, dogs.
I loved how the coxswain moved her bow deck clear of the blades, because then when you get closer, there's still time to tell the boat, to, especially to starboard, to keep moving to starboard. So again, if you're in a bow loaded 4, do not put your bow deck where a blade is going to hit it. Unless, there's really no other option. But keep moving until you have a free lane, and keep telling everybody where to move.
Yes, dogs, stay in our rhythm. I got a line. We are making them move. Get ready for the next 10. Yep. You ready? Sit up now. Legs, shove. Legs, shove. Yes. BC to starboard. Sit up and hang. BC to starboard. Yep. They're moving. Yep. We're walking. We are moving in all crews. We are hunting.
Yeah. So yeah, always just keep telling everybody, because she had no place to go, right? Because the boat on port was like in a good position. Like all 3 boats were doing a really good job. And as soon as they all realized where everybody was headed, it seemed like everyone was locked into their line, and everybody played nice and still racing super fast and hard. So this is the last mile, leaving Anderson, the big bend. That it's just where things get really heavy, potentially. Hopefully not for you, but it's really where you're gonna have to rely on a hard, determined rhythm when you're leaving Anderson. So if any type of jockeying needs to happen leaving Anderson, always think about your engine. How are our leg drive? What is it doing? Are we finishing our legs? Are we sitting tall? What's happening? It's usually the quietest also, leaving Anderson to the big, till basically till Elliott. Yeah, you'll hear some like random, yeah, like cheers and stuff, but it's not going to get loud until you come to Elliott. So this is where you really need to have those aces in your pocket, and this is where you need to maybe sprinkle in some motivation, something meaningful, and really think about how are you going to be gritty, attack, and how are you going to really complete the legs and just not and just keep charging. So that's the theme when you leave Anderson all the way to Elliott. That's where the doldrums could happen. Okay, that's usually around, your some cruise, you're coming up on 15 minutes. Like it's just, that's where you really have to think about, why are you racing? What are you going to be most proud of? How, as coxswains, can we remind everybody what was the agreement that was made to be intentional about attacking this big bend to port? So here we go. This is a good chance to see the apartment complex a little bit, or a hospital. I don't know what it is. I think somebody in a chat always reminds me what it is, and I always forget. Forgive me for people who are local. So here's a good check. Follow the red dot. No, here's the apex of the first, or here's the beginning of the turn, right here. So when you're cruising, hopefully right here, following the dot, I'm trying to go straight with my little mouse. This is the approach you want from Anderson to cruise on by. Yeah, there's a lot of room to go left and right, which you might need depending on traffic. Uh, but this is a good shot of what it looks like coming into Elliott or the Big Bend. So this is the same grade 8. What I like about this is if it's a sunny day and depending on the time of day you're racing, I think this was a Champ 8, so it was on a Sunday around what 2 something. It could get really glary. So this is where you also have to weigh the decision. Do you put your hull on the buoy line? It's legal. You may do that. You may put your oars over, but how close do you want to do it? Can you see the next 2, 3 buoys? Because that's going to help you decide how aggressive of a line to make, of how confident you can see the line, see the next couple buoys, and hopefully Mother Nature is not going to be an X factor. It's really glary. Orange buoys are coming up on port, which is great. Threading the needle, lots of pressure from starboard competition. But pausing it, just to starboard side, cut the buoy line too tight. And that buoy, right there, that starboard buoy allowed my boat to win, meaning that was a penalty for them, which was the difference between our boat losing and winning. I think time-wise, we technically lost to this champ, grade 8, but since they missed this buoy, they had that penalty, and then luckily us being a reunion boat of the Olympics of 2012, we won because of their mistake. But that's racing. That's racing. And that's why you really, if it's going to be tight pressure, you really need to communicate to the outside, especially right here. This is the finish part. This is like when Elliott really starts to, like the buoy line starts to disappear. And this is where the outside crew, so the crews on starboard, when you are on the outside of the turn, you're going to be able to finish the turn easier than somebody coming in tight, and there's going to be a pinch point. And I think this coxswain was a little nervous of the pinch point, so she kept going tight. I mean, it was a beautiful turn, just that pesky way. And then back on track. So who knows? That could have been an errant buoy, because her line was beautiful. And this is where you need to maybe have starboard crank it 2, 3 strokes. So you finish the turn of Elliott. This is a good view of following the buoy line is great. You should for Elliott. And you might have to call on your starboards hard for 3 in the beginning of the apex of the turn. You might be like, ooh, everyone full for 5 strokes, and then maybe you need to call on starboards again to finish the turn. But I paused here because remember, this year at Head of the Charles, the arch on the right hand of the screen, the Cambridge side arch, it's a no-go. And why some people elect to use it is because of this traffic problem. And maybe there's going to be three boats across. No, somebody can't finish the turn, and then they don't want to hit the abutment, so they just go around. Going around anyway to the like, I'm just glad it's a non-issue because it's just a slow issue. Um, it's not favorable by any means. It is not the correct line. And this year it's construction. So there's really no option to take it. Okay. So Elliot, I think it's a false comfort because it starts mellow, the big bend. And you're like, oh, Elliot, why does everybody think I can rudder this? Until all of a sudden the buoy line it doesn't disappear, but so to speak, it just gets really tight and you need to finish the turn really hard, which is doable. You can definitely follow, if when you leave Anderson, aim for that apartment complex, hospital, whatever, um, until you find that buoy line, the apex of that buoy line. You're going to stand on Anderson. That's going to be your homework. You're going to look at it. You're going to find that line. You're going to be like, okay, I got it. As soon as you leave Anderson in that straight shot, you find the bend of that buoy line, boom. Then start to follow that buoy line. That's plan A if there's no traffic. Plan A is just follow the buoy line. Once the rudder is just not doing it, meaning like your full rudder and you still need to turn, tell your starboards, hey, starboards, I may need you. Let's go hard for three. Ready? Good, everyone full now because like now the rudder's working or that's tracking as where it needs to be. And then if you really want to be tight, then you're like, okay, starboards, come on again in three, two, one, go. Of course, that's kind of verbiage for an eight. If you're in a four, you can rudder it for the most part. If you've got a good rudder on the four, you may need starboards two or three times. That's going to be your judgment if you want to be super aggressive, but you can rudder for sure um, if you're smart about it. Okay, this is just a fun part. This is a good, I just want you to know if you are getting passed on Elliot and you move out, just know when you start to really finish the turn of Elliot, you cannot cut off the inside person. And if the inside, which is now this yellow boat, the Impacker, this yellow boat is coming up on that black boat. So this yellow boat has the right of way. The black boat yielded, but then when they started to turn, they just had a different pinch point about like where the apex was going to be. So again, knowing where your competition needs from you, it was just going to be helpful. And this is a hard part to be about being passed. Moving out while the apex is happening, and then being tight. This is where it's going to be a good shot. You're going to see the abutment coming up. So there's a lane. And this is where it gets dicey because the Impacker still needed to like get that last buoy before they started to cut over. But that crew on the right, on the starboard, just didn't give them that much. It just wasn't possible. So the boat on the right got assessed a penalty. But then even worse, there's just really nowhere to go. Well, in that case, just push the blades apart, get away as safe as possible. And then let's think about how we want to leave Elliot, because that's what's going to help you decide how close and how tight. And the goal of Elliot, so right here, you see this diagonal arrow? All three of those boats above the arrow are way too wide. So here is your job. Do not follow the pack. You need to know the line. And the line is where that, like, aim for those people on the dock. There's going to be a green buoy on your starboard side. And yes, you can overlap your blade and you're going to get really close to the corner of that dock where right below the point of the arrow. But all these coxswain, and here's the fun part because Elliot can trick you. You're like, I'm gonna go tight on Elliot, and then you can be so tight on Elliot right where this boat is, on top of the arrow, this boat right here. Yeah, they're avoiding this boat right here, but this boat has the good line. It's going diagonal right to this buoy. So yeah, some people do need to go wide because they're getting past. But just make sure that you're following, like you know what the fastest line is, and then yes, if you need to move out, you need to move out. So again, good line. See that big buoy? Get close. That's where row 2K is. Maybe they'll get a good shot of the coxswain finally on the face if you're in. So make sure you're yelling, looking pretty, looking aggressive, I should say. Uh, and then this is the big bend. When you leave that dock where everyone's standing on, the Belmont dock, 500 meters to go. All right. So after you hang that right to starboard, you've got 500 meters to go. After you hug the shrubs, hug the bushes on the right, you're gonna start then looking to port a bit and like that wooden walkway everybody sits on. Once you, depending on rate, depending on wind, of course, that's plus or minus 20 strokes to the finish line. Okay, so that's your kind of homework too when you're walking the course. Look for that wooden dock that near the boatyard, and then you're going to look to find the triangle, the yellow triangles, and then you as soon as you come around the starboard bend around the bushes around the Cambridge side, then you want to just look for those triangles and split the middle. And then after that, you paddle. You made it, you did it. And then it's not the annoying part, but sometimes they make you paddle an obscenely longer time than you think. There will be officials telling you when to stop, when to spin, and then you need to start traveling back into the lane and remember what dock you need to land. They will be numbered. And then you just need to remember where your boat came from and what dock you came from. But that is how you do the head of the Charles. So if you guys have any questions, I will stop sharing my screen and hopefully Rachel can either hand me some questions or whatnot, whatever the theme of the Q&As have been. But what do you got?
I did my best to answer like as many questions as I
Perfect.
could
Oh
while
yeah,
we were
I see you got
chatting.
23 answered questions. Nice work.
But most of the questions that were asked were answered throughout your presentation. I think that's like one thing to note is like just stay patient and see about asking questions at the end. You got some coming in right now. I think the biggest thing that I've been seeing is a lot of questions and like worries about penalties or like one-off situations where you might be blocked and have nowhere to go. Like, will you get penalized in that situation if there's a boat moving on you or something like that? And I tried to answer it to the best of my ability where sometimes there will be things that won't go your way and things that are out of your control in this scenario. It might be a penalty, it might not be. Like, focus on what you can control. And once there's an opening, like if you need to yield. If you can push through, push through. But I think when you go into the Charles thinking, oh, don't do this, don't do that, I don't want to get a penalty, the more likely it is that you are going to be put in a situation where that will happen. Like if you constantly go in, I don't want to make a mistake, I don't want to do this, you're gonna make the mistake. But if you think about it and you listen to the presentation and took notes on the turns and have a plan and run through the plan with your boat and your coaches and yourself in the mirror if you need to, you're not gonna be in a situation where you don't know how to execute properly. You're not going to be worried about the penalties. You're going to be worried about going as fast as you can go and like nailing the turns. So like I wouldn't get too wrapped up in getting a penalty. There's penalties in a lot of different head races. Like if you don't yield properly, this is only a certain case where it's pretty amplified because of the amount of boats that are out on the water.
Yeah, exactly. The biggest thing, guys, is read the situation. And I think, well, for example, this one attendee, Savannah, hey, what's up? She said that she had raced the Charles 3 times, 3 years, one in Champ 4, a men's lightweight 4, and a Masters 4. And she's like, I've never really passed anybody. I've never been in like this crazy scene. Like there's a lot of times you'll have a clean race, and that is plan A. And that is common. It's very common to have a very clean race. Then, especially if you have a bow number one through 10, you might be able to pass somebody, but it might just be very simple. But when it gets sticky is when you're in the lottery, and then once the crews get a bow number and they got in and they hadn't raced, the previous year, and they're seated pretty fast, but the Charles sticks to it's a random draw after you have the automatic bid. So that's when it could be just a speed difference. So I think maybe like in junior events, when there's a lot of unpredictability about lineups and consistencies, you're going to have fast years, slow years. So that's the thing. Like I love talking about passing and scenarios, but hopefully we're not freaking you out because you're right. Like it kind of plays out, and it's easy to avoid a penalty. You know how? Slow down before you hit something. And if you don't see a line, you might have to throw in a pause. Heaven forbid. I mean, that's not plan A, but please do not enter a scenario where there's no win. Like there's no way, there's no lane. You can always paddle and you can always get back up when it is safe. And know your safeties. You can go on the far starboard arch of weeks. It's not ideal, but you can. You can go the right arch of Riverside Street and also Western. So you've got options, but you're right. Hopefully it's a boring race and plan A all the way. That's why race plan is super important. Having a plan to be a time trial. That's the best case scenario. Time trial all the way, push as hard as you want. You as a coxswain know the plan. You can have boat feel to assess if there's any lull in speed, and then you have to ask yourself why. Are we missing the front end? Are we opening too soon? Are our legs decelerating? Where are we not suspending? And how can you offer the solution? So it's pretty fun. Um, I like James's question about like, hey, does it affect the boat if you hit the buoy with your blades? Yes, it does. And you need to know that's why it's a discussion with your team. If you have rowers who are like, if they're gonna catch a crab because their blade tip is on the buoy and they're not comfortable enough and they haven't had practice being rowdy, then don't cross the buoy line. That is a-okay. I have won without crossing a buoy with my blade tips. So it just depends on your crew's mental capacity of how rowdy they will accept you to be. Um, I always like to have the buoys at least under the rigger, or maybe mid shaft. Yeah, but on blade tip, it gets a little dicey because if it's on the finish, it could wrap, get a little sloppy. So when you do your practice row, if you have the luxury, play around with it, but I do encourage you to go full speed around the turns because paddling, especially paddling around magazine, it is really hard to hold a line when you're paddling. But if you are at full speed, it's consistent pressure, so you'll have a consistent reaction to your rudder, and then you can see how tight you can be. And play around with it. And it's a good practice to be like, okay, we're going to take magazine full. We're going to take weeks full. We're going to take Elliott full. Because I really want to know And if there's a lot of gas in the tank, maybe that 20 strokes to go dock, maybe guess what's the last 20. Let's do the last 20, like build, full pressure, go. So you can map it out in your head. So you know the plus or minuses of giving them the information to the distance of the finish line. There's so much I need to tell you guys. No kidding. That's just the tip of the iceberg. You're gonna do great. Any other questions? I mean, as soon as we say goodbye to each other, I will render this. I will pop up a thank you email. I will send out the recording link so you can replay any of the videos. You can read any of the slides.
There was a question from Zoe. When would you say is a good time to pull off the buoys and start going diagonal to get a good line? For Elliot, there's a similar question earlier where it was at the turning tree. Do you turn when your bow crosses or when you cross it? And I basically answered it with 3 questions, like how responsive is your rudder? How responsive like are your rowers, and what kind of situation are you in? Like it's not an okay, I cross, it's time to hit the rudder. Like it's very situational to like what is happening in your boat, and you sort of have to use your best judgment and make a really quick decision of how fast is your boat moving? How fast is your rudder responding? Do you need to take it earlier because there are boats around? Do you need to, push a boat out and take it later? Like that is the whole strategy of why it's a coxswain's race. These markers are to help guide you and give you markers to potentially, strategize what you want to do. And on your warm up to the way up to the basin, like you're looking out and you're seeing, okay, this is where I want to like take the turn, but you've certainly planned that beforehand. And then when you're in the situation, it's kind of like you're in the moment, like either stick with the plan because it's going well, or if you need to pivot, like just being able to pivot. And that's why we've seen specific videos of having a really boring race and taking the turn with nobody around, or having a really exciting race where you need to add a pause or you need to go no pressure, so that because you've never done it before, you can see somebody do it. So if you're in the situation, you're like, okay, I've seen this before, this is my judgment, and you just have to go off of your judgment. Like there's not a right answer, the perfect way to steer the course is have no one around you, a ripping tailwind, amazing weather, nothing on the water in your way. But the case of the Charles is there's always going to be some sort of chaos. Like my first year racing in the Alumni 8 in 23, we started 33rd, and we passed 9 boats. It was a bunch of people's first Charles. It was my first Charles since 2018, so it had been a few years since I've been back on the course, but like just have fun with it, and like you're with your teammates, you're with your friends, and like as long as you keep your boat safe and you do the best that you can, and you're in the moment, like it's really all you can ask for at the end of the day. It's not the Olympics, like it's nothing that has
Some people.
I mean, maybe, but don't be
You've
so
been training
hard.
hard. I know you guys have been training hard.
But yeah, like the most important thing is like make sure you're having fun while leading the race. Like it is your race, the Coxswain's race, which is so special, and like a one-off situation, which is so fun in the fall. So like own it, have fun. Don't worry about what other people are thinking or what mistakes could happen. Plan for them and then race your race. It's really
There's like 2 questions that I like. There's a question from Gabby. She's gonna basically meet her crew at Heather Charles. And that happens a lot. A lot of times crews are looking for coxswains and you're like, I'm guest coxing. Awkward. No, okay. You're gonna do great, Gabby. But what I would say, and for this goes to even if you know your crew inside and out, if you have the opportunity to do a practice row, that is for you. So you need to maybe tell your crew, hey, I'm just going to be clinical, meaning I'm going to get this course down. Yes, I'll call like tens or I'll run practice, but keep the chatter low and look around. And once you get to weeks, hopefully you're being strategic that you can go weeks full. Sometimes there's just a lot of different boat classes out there on practice day, and you can't stop, you can't turn around, you have to keep running through practice. But what I would tell you this is if you can go full around weeks, and do the default way, then you're gonna be like, oh, that's it. And then you can choose if you have another chance to go down the track, maybe start a little tighter, maybe turn a little sooner. The only thing to weeks is if you're leaving weeks with a good line to Anderson, you nailed it. All right. And so don't overthink things. Just think how you want to leave turns will help you with turns. And then the other one is like, hey, I want to go tight around Elliot, but I'm nervous about missing a buoy. That's you have to look. That's why talking too much could be your detriment. So make sure you're not being too in your bubble. Your job is to look for the 3 to 4 buoys ahead of you. And if you can't see it, then talk to your crew. Hey guys, I'm going silent for 5 strokes. I'm looking for buoys. Your job is for legs. Go on this one with legs. I'm looking. Then be quiet. Look. You take care of yourself and your line, and then you be like, awesome, I got it. Let's go. And then they're not gonna stop rowing. They're gonna keep going because that's their job. So tell them when you need to be quiet so you can focus on your line. They'll give you grace. They'll be there. They'll be your teammate. They'll back you up. Cool. Um, Lisa, sorry. She says, umpire here. With regard to penalties, there are umpires along the course who watch the progress of situations as they develop and generally do a good job of understanding situations and interpreting them appropriately. So stay safe and smart during your race. And at the end of your race, if you believe you were assessed a penalty unjustly, you have the right to present an appeal at the CBC Boathouse. This is Cambridge one, right near Elliott, to review it with the umpire and appeal it. Thank you, Lisa. That is a very good job. Like there's there's referees all over the course. They're gonna know, they're gonna take notes, they're gonna compare. So again, if you yield once, but then you get the inside of another turn, another crew is being in it, like they know the stories of what's gonna happen. So it's their job. So again, you make the best choices, you stay safe, and you work with the other competitors around you, talk to them, look at them. It's okay to think about being coxswain teammates while still trying to beat each other up in a good way about speed. But again, coxswains make this race, and our safe decision making, again, at the end of the day, humans first, equipment second, and then your best line third. Okay, like make good choices. It is okay to stop even though it's not preferable. Going as fast as possible is, but if there is nowhere to go, put the brakes on, please, and then boogie out there as soon as you're safe. All right. If you guys have any other questions, I will have office hours. I will send that also to the email list as well about just hopping on a quick Zoom call if you want to be like, yo, weeks didn't go well, let's talk about it. Or if you just want to just be like, my team has been like not focused, what can be some good strategies to get them back on track on the last mile? I'm going to be here for you guys. All right. So look out for the record. You'll have two emails from me, a recording and a thank you of what we just went through, our experience we had together. And then you'll also get probably Thursday before racing a link to office hours if you choose to hop on. Last year nobody did, which is fine. I was like, good job me, good job me. But I was there reading my book in front of the Zoom. But it's there. If you don't need it, you don't need it. But also, I'm here for you guys. Cool.
Come by the U.S. rowing tent. We'll be signing autographs. I don't know what time I'm going, but I'll be there.
Thank you, Rachel. Bronze medalist of the men's 8 Coxswain of last summer, starting her campaign for LA. No big deal. One year check. Thank you for helping. And if you guys see us, come say hi. Cool. This is the awkward part where I will end recording and then I will say goodbye. See you in Boston, everybody.